Steve, did you start off with a firm strategy, or you just plunged right in? Somebody said they had an idea that they needed you to implement.
No, about 2 years ago, we did form a center of excellence, and that center of excellence consisted of representatives from both IT, from information security, enterprise architecture, representatives from different lines of business, production services, engineering. And we all assembled with a couple objectives in mind. Number one was primarily to mitigate our risk exposure due to the uncertainty of the viability of BlackBerry as a company going forward. We do have 4,000 BlackBerry users, and that does represent a significant risk exposure to us. The other objective was to promote a BYOD program and try to offload some of the costs that IT was bearing supporting BlackBerry devices. And then third was to start exploiting mobile as a new form factor for improving employee productivity, or just transforming the client engagement and stuff like that.
Great. So, well, how many of you have a formal mobile strategy out in the audience? Show me with raising your hand, or if you're focusing more opportunities. So formal strategy, raise your hand. So just a few of you, actually. So, when we go into organizations, I sometimes say it's like the wild, wild west out there. Everybody owns mobility and nobody owns mobility, right? And so getting standards and policies in place, having a center of excellence like you've established, really can make such a difference, not only to mitigate risk, but to deliver value to your customers and your employees. So hats off to you. You may be starting in a place that seems opportunistic and one-off, but once you get going, I'm sure you're going to think about a strategy or a center of excellence as part of your journey.
Let me make a comment about, I think people overemphasize the importance of a strategy, and this may sound shocking, but
I love shocking. We want shocking, right?
I see a lot of companies that aren't doing anything, or they're afraid to act because they feel they don't have a strategy. And really, a strategy could consist of multiple components. It's your application platform, it's your QA testing, your testing platform, your developer. Are you doing HTML5? Are you doing data? All of this nonsense. Honestly, your strategy is nothing but a story that helps you attract attention, attract support, and allow you to gain traction to move forward on these things. Your strategy is going to constantly be evolving. Don't think because you have a strategy now you can move forward. Probably if you're taking 6 months to develop a strategy, it's 3 months out of date already. So just come up with a story and move forward, and be prepared to fail fast and do course corrections.
So you mentioned story, and this session is about developing a business case, coming up with an ROI. Did you find that in order to get funding to move forward, that you needed to present a cohesive story, a cohesive business case with an ROI? Or did somebody just say, yeah, let's experiment? Can you kind of share,
what you need to present is a vision.
A vision. So in your instance, it was a vision. You did not have to have hard metrics?
You threw up a statistic, I don't know what the percentage was, that all of these companies have mobile as a top 5 priority. The interesting thing is when you match that against what the executives are actually funding. What they think is a priority and what they're funding are two drastically different things. So
I would agree with you. I think that is interesting how the survey data comes through.
So everyone knows they need to be doing something in mobile. They're just not quite clear what it is that they need to do. And that's where you need to, where IT needs to partner with the business to help them formulate that vision. People are reluctant to fund these initiatives if they're really not clear how this connects to business value. And so you need to help tell that story and connect. How do you do that? You can do that by going out and job shadowing, really getting to know the business, and really understand what the pain points are. I would say that the first ROI case isn't a financial case, it's an experience. It's a customer and user experience case. For us, TIA-CREF, we're in the retirement business, and just look at the demographics. We have an aging population, and so a lot of our customers were more senior people. We're really trying to attract millennials and new people into our business. So instead of showing up to a financial meeting with an advisor with a Lenovo XP laptop, and taking 15 minutes to boot up, and having the customer say, "Hey, would you like to use my PC? It's faster than yours." It was about
or your client might have died by then. No,
it's about transforming that perception, and it's about turning it around to use the newer and sexier technology and transform that perception first of all. And then it's just about defining pain points. One of our first cases was enrollment. How do we get people enrolled in our retirement programs in a more fashion. So we invested a lot of money in making our pension enrollment process mobile compatible. So at the very minimum, they were just doing this through a web browser. So it was a web application. They would use the iPad browser hitting our public website to do the enrollment. And then it was identifying certain pain points after that. One thing that there was a disconnect is when we're doing an agent-assisted enrollment, there's a paper process that has to be completed. It's called a replacement form. It's just an acknowledgement that you're purchasing a product with having a counselor and advisor selling this, whether or not they're getting a commission for it. It might replace the product you may already own, all that. But that was a paper process. So we created this experience that was tremendous on the iPad, and it created this really positive experience, and then we took the iPad away and slid a piece of paper in front of them to complete the process. I mean, that just destroyed it. So that was an opportunity for us to start exploring e-signature and mobile form filling on the iPad. And then the cycle time, taking that piece of paper and getting it processed by the back office can take 2 weeks. With the mobile, we can close that cycle time, issue contracts much faster with straight-through processing from the mobile device.
That's great. Great story.
How do you put a price tag on that stuff?
How do you put a price tag on it? I agree with you. And you had mentioned, Rebecca, when we were talking about how the clients you deal with on the West Coast are very tech savvy. And
that's actually one of the things that you said reminded me of that when you were talking about the XP laptop and everything. And if my attorneys show up at a client site with outdated technology and our client is a video game manufacturer, that just does not instill a whole lot of confidence. So we have to make sure that when they do want to use whatever the newest device is, that we can enable them to do that. And that, I can't put a price tag on that, but certainly, bringing in new clients is what we're all about. So
more about customer loyalty, retention, image, driving
Definitely
more revenue,
image.
as opposed to cost savings. Now, how about you, Ken? I mean, did you have any hard dollar ROI cases that you brought forward? Was that the first way that you made your case, or was it more soft side?
Yeah, after the interest around cost savings or reducing turnaround time for tests, once those are kind of laid out there, anything that we did from a mobile perspective had to have business value, true attainable business value. And what started off being had to be an ROI in 2 years. It's pretty much down to a point where it's got to be an ROI in a year. So those concrete things have to be there. Since we have the Center of Excellence in place, the focus on building a mobile strategy, we're able to move past that a little bit, and we can proof of concept things, and we can model certain scenarios, certain solutions, and those components. But the reality is we're not going large scale deployment or platform or anything like that without the documented business value there. And in most cases, that's going to be ROI, money saved in the pocket, or else areas that we're really mitigating risk or driving growth.
actually, getting back to the risk situation, the other thing that is one of my goals, I want to enable my attorneys to be productive wherever they are and to go to clients and make sure that they have recent technology with them. But I want to make sure that I can do it safely, because I want my firm to be in the news, but I don't want to be in the news for something negative.
Yep, sounds good. So maybe you can all either share a war story, like a lesson learned, your battle scars, share some battle scars, or some best practices with the folks out in the audience. What have you learned through this process that maybe you could instill to the audience that might help them as they go along their mobile journey? So either a best practice, a lesson learned, something like that. Who wants to maybe kick us off as a thought? Anything in particular?
I can fill a whole session on lessons learned. I think the first thing is, small teams do big things. I don't think you need a big mobile team to accomplish big things. Another thing I would say is you have to have some small amount of investment to help, again, connect those dots in your executives' minds of what mobile means and how it connects to your business. And you can do that through prototyping and low-level prototypes and proof of concepts. And you kind of need that, because there's still, what I've found in our company is there's a lack of imagination as to what mobile means and what it's going to do for
So
their
something
employees.
visual that
It's
people
got to
can
be something
relate to
visual.
is
You
really
can't,
helpful.
You can't talk
Make it
through
real.
mobile. You just can't talk through mobile. And there's some great rapid prototyping tools out there that allow you to use Keynote or PowerPoint and drag visual controls over, and you can use animations and then save it as a PDF and put it on your iPad. And actually, you would be hard pressed to know that it's not a real application, except it's just kind of a click-through kind of thing. So that type of rapid prototyping can help sell that vision and embrace the concept of an MVP, meaning a minimal viable product. If you had to wear this hat of a salesperson to sell your vision, to attain additional funding, do the minimal viable product. You might be taking that on at your own run or base, but your ultimate objective is to get the business to not only fund the current project, but to see your vision in terms of the roadmap and where this is going, because no one can just deploy a mobile app and just sit back and think that that's going to go there. The users expect continual enhancement and improvement, and whether it's just the user interface or additional capabilities. And so take an agile approach, develop that vision, that roadmap, and structure it into phases, and gate the funding around it.
Great. Do you want to share any?
Yeah, I would say mainly just be focused on your data that you're putting out there, making available in a mobile space. I mean that's what's really going to get you in trouble, and even just in a minor one case event, one iPad that gets stolen that didn't have the right amount of security on it. I mean, and it's got the wrong content. I mean, that's going to cause a mountain of issues, and that's really not something that prior to the mobile explosion, really would be that big of a deal. But I like what Steve had said earlier too, about a strategy taking 6 months. You're already 3 months, outdated and stuff like that. I would say get going, because again, the mobile expansion, the mobile burst and things like that is happening, whether we know it. If us as IT leaders in different companies and things like that, if we think we're holding it back and containing it, probably not. There's people going out and working their ways to, doing things on personal devices and forwarding things from their email systems, their work email systems on the personal ones to get access to that data and stuff. But I think if we're not embracing it, not having that strategy ready today, really need to have it next week.
Yeah,
Thank you.
actually, just along the lines of what both Ken and Steve said, even though I think for everybody, a lot of the mobile technology was driven by our users initially, but now that we're here, I don't want to say that they've run out of ideas. They still come to me with, why can't I use this app, and can you make this possible? But there are a lot of things that they just haven't thought of yet, and we need to be thinking of them before they do, and giving them the capabilities that they need by understanding better what they do and what their needs are.
So staying on top of what's going on in the industry and all the trends, and being able to bring new innovation back to your customers to help them drive, better outcomes for their business, I guess is one of the key lessons here. I heard a number of interesting things. I heard, in a way, sponsorship. You need sponsorship, obviously, and you need to make it real for your end customers by making it visual, and you can do that in a simple way. Being able to tell a story about your business case, right? It might not be a formal business case, but making a compelling case. Transforming, I think we heard a lot about transforming the business process. We weren't just talking about technology. In every dialogue we had just now, it was about, well, I used to have a paper process, or I used to do things this way. I know I've rethought how I'm doing my work, how my employees are doing their work. I'm rethinking how I'm engaging with my customer. Instead of sitting behind my Lenovo laptop, I'm literally coming out in front and sharing my tablet with them and having a discussion and driving more engagement, more revenue. So there's just so many ways to drive employee engagement and satisfaction and consumer engagement, which will drive loyalty, and get a continuous relationship going with your customer or your employee that you didn't have before. So it's really exciting. I think the other thing I heard is, if you don't get to the security and protect your data, they're going to do it anyway. As you all know, you're here at the Good Exchange Conference, so We're all thinking about security, but we have to get ahead of our customers and make it so that if they do want to bring their own device, that we can support them in a secure way, in a user-friendly manner, make it easy for them to do business in a way that's compelling.